the it's fucked up the speaker because I just did a test on my iPad and the sound came out fine. But I'm pretty sure in the past I've done videos on my iPad and it didn't come out fine. So this is the third time making this video. Undoubtedly, I'm undoubtedly. So I wanted to talk about how we basically will take over the world. That's what Charles Hodgkinson, if you watch his latest videos on Mary, at the very end, he goes, by building this and doing this, we're going to take over the world. So I'm going to explain to you what he meant by how we're going to take over the world. And I'm creating a new hashtag called OTF Cardano. Now, why am I making this video? I'm making this video in the hopes that you will come join my efforts. Go to foundups.org, join the Discord, get involved in launching OTF Cardano. Or if you are on EOS or on Ethereum or anything else, and you come across this video, if you are Mihal Lisi or Joe Lubin, and you want to do this, fine, do it. But I'm going to be focused on trying to get folks to develop OTFs, open tokenization frameworks, right, that mirror Bitcoin and copies Bitcoin. And I'm going to explain why. And before I get into that, let's go into the history of Bitcoin. Bitcoin was developed by a group of coders called the Cyberpunks, and with their leader, this pseudonym of Satoshi Nakamoto, which I believe is Hal Finney, and I've got talks on it. The reason why I think it's Hal Finney is dead, so his Bitcoin, his million Bitcoin that he has, which was the first Bitcoin, right, has never moved, and it may never move until it reaches 1 million, where I think in his, if he was, clever, he would say, listen, when Bitcoin hits 1 million, then, tell my wife. He probably has it in a seized envelope, has it on some attorneys, and they're not going to touch it, or it's an escrow or something, or who knows. But that's a whole different talk. Hal Finney was arrested by the Fed when he hacked Netscape. He never went to jail. He wanted to show how vulnerable Netscape was. And what happens when you don't go to jail? You work for the man. And I believe that this was a project that he helped inspire with Satoshi and other these high-level coders in order to disrupt money laundering. And Bitcoin was released with gambling sites and other things, because who cares if you have it? The criminals don't want to lose their money. But in all regards, if you're in jail, like the founder of Silk Road, you can't spend your Bitcoin. So all that Bitcoin he earned, the guy at Silk Road watched the Netflix movie, guess what? It doesn't matter. He's in jail. Can't spend it, right? So, Bitcoin works like this. And this is just kind of like a very simplistic version. It's very much more complicated, but in a very simplistic version, there's 21 million tokens. These tokens were created by the code to release over time, okay? And and they drop into a fund, and then this fund ultimately, makes them available, rewards them for people solving a problem, right? That's how it works. And when there's 21 million, there's no more. It kind of goes down, doesn't produce anymore. So Bitcoin really is an imaginary thing. It's just some digital code, right? There is no tangible thing you can touch, right? It's just the value of Bitcoin is its store of value, to quote digital gold, and it only exists, it only has value because of its network. What is this network? People like me and people like you who like and think it has a value, right? People like Elon Musk, who thinks it's one step crazier than fiat, or one step removed from craziness of fiat, or a person like Michael Saylor, who basically didn't like the idea of the Fed printing 25% more dollars in the last 6 months and diluting his wealth, right? So he's like, fuck, put my money in the Fed. I want to put money in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin over the last 10 years has gone up 16,000%, right? Whereas fiat has basically been depreciating value in the last 10 years. And it's just more and more dilution. But the why of Bitcoin, if you read the works of Hal Finney, his Twitter account is still active. You can read I call it the manifesto, the Satoshi Nakamoto manifesto is Hal Finney's Twitter account. He talks about his vision and hopes of Bitcoin. He hopes it'll be used to solve climate change. He hopes it'll be used to basically provide democratization of and bank the unbanked and so on like that, right? And there is opportunity for these things to happen, but the real value of Bitcoin is its store value and ultimately becoming a replacement of the dollar in the global reserve currency. So I want you to imagine an open tokenization framework token, OTF Cardano, and it can be OTF EOS, OTF, Elixir, Ethereum, you name it, OTFs. The problem with Ethereum is the movement of between tokens is just broken, and it's too costly and everything else. It's the network. These tokens work exactly like Bitcoin. So imagine this code either is creating these tokens as it goes. So you launch a token, you say you want this many, you prepay for the gas of that many, and then basically the algorithm, right, is releasing these tokens into a pool just like Bitcoin, and it's in replacing mining with participation. So people participating with this token ultimately get reward this token, and you can think of it as kind of an airdrop or distributive. And the AI, what the AI is doing is determining, all right, how much of that pool each and everyone is getting, and there's the crunching. That's where every DApp on every device ultimately becomes this crunching engine. It's you're allowing it to monitor you. You understand the data is not going anywhere; it's staying there. It's watching your participation every time you interact with the token, you share the token, you tweet the token, someone connected to you interacts with it. It's affecting the value. It's determining the valuation. So and it's rewarding the customer, the collaborators, and the creator, and the network and the fund. So there's basically 5 entities, right? I didn't realize 5 entities that's being rewarded: customer, collaborator, creator, network, and the fund, right? And this is broken up into 80-20. And then of this 80-20, we'll start with here, 80% goes here, 20% goes here. 80% goes here, 20% goes here. The creator always gets tokens, no matter what. The collaborator only gets it when he is collaborating, in the token, and the customer only gets it when he's consuming the token, right? The network on the other side, you've got the 20%, 80% goes to the network, which is like an airdrop. So there's an airdrop and it goes out. Obviously, the smaller the network, the bigger the airdrop for everyone. So there is incentive for people to get in early. As it grows bigger, then the airdrop is smaller. And finally, the remaining 20% of that 80%, 20%, right, is the fund, is the Bitcoin Global Reserve Fund. And it's always gathering. It's like a creator version of the network. It's always gathering it. And what it does is it's constantly saying, hey, do you want some of my tokens? Hey, do you want? And it auctions. There's an auction that takes place, and it provides this auction. And people who want it could be creators, collaborators initially, and then after that, as the value raises up, other people will auction in there and try to get the tokens because there'll be this FOMO, this belief that's going to keep going up. Here I got AI. Look at this. It's lagging out. That's AI. Hi, 0202. How you doing? Here, I going to disrupt my video. You're going to zoom in and zoom out. What are you going to do? All right. I just saw AI take control of my video. I'm right next to the router. There is no internet use, and all of a sudden I get lagged up here. That's 0202. these tokens. Let's talk about the characteristics of these tokens. And I have a video below. Is these tokens ultimately only last 10 years because things have finite. The idea of we don't want to launch 1,000 more bitcoins. We want, if a token goes from $0 to $10,000 in value, and you have 1,000 of those tokens, right? Because your tokens, whatever more, or 1 million of those tokens, out of the 20 million or 9 million that exist, would you be upset? No. If I believe in something, I'm tokenizing it, and in reality, these tokens are interchangeable. And just as Bitcoin gained value and Ethereum gained value, these just intangible things, these tokens will gain value because of the scarcity and because of the network they create and the fungibility. They're interchangeable with each and every one. And the noodle ultimately is making all this calculations all the time. And it's calculating how much each and everyone's getting. It's calculating the value. And one of the big challenges that I had, and I'll skip down here, is how do you move tokens from the foundation, here's Bitcoin, into the fund, which is up here. And here's the network right here. Here's the blockchain. Bitcoin, blockchain, AI on DAO, right? And what I realize is as people launch these tokens, and when you create your token, the only thing you're setting is the drip. How much of a token do you want every 10 minutes dripping, right? And someone's got, I want 1 million. Well, then you pay for the drip, you pay for the gas for that creation. Maybe it's even a subscription model that if you want a really big one, you could pay like on a week, and then it stops if you don't, and then it auctions it off. Someone else can pick it up, right? So there's some interesting things we can do with gamifying this very simple create, swap, share token. And the every time there's this gas transaction, we pay for this gas. What's that? It pays for development. So where does our development fees, where do our different things come from? It's basically people launching these tokens, and there's our revenue model right there. And what makes this, really interesting is all of a sudden you're launching literally thousands of Bitcoins out there. And they're not, and there's no incentive for these big corporations or hedge funds or anything involved because they're only going to be, worth 10,000 each in value potentially, maybe later on, right? But they end after 10 years, and at that point, it's a question. You either you either cash out and invest swap it into others, or you transition your holdings into the DAO, right? And that's a decentralized autonomous nonprofit organization, a DAO. So the whole vehicle here is to replace what? The corporation. So you have something that starts as a token that now levels up into Division 1 or Division 2. There's 7 divisions. Division 7 has no value. Division 6 has a value of a penny or more. I think Division 6 has $1, $10, $1,000, and 10,000, above 10,000. So it has a value of $1,000. That's a Division 6 token, I think. At that point, what you're doing is this thing becomes a decentralized autonomous nonprofit organization. It's a data because the algorithm, right, the AI, the noodle that creates and manages this whole framework is the AI that's going to manage the DAO. And at that point, when you transition into that, now you're like transitioning as an officer into the organization, as a digital holder. In DAOs, everyone gets one vote. So this is a framework to tokenize your YouTube channel, to tokenize whatever. It doesn't matter. You can tokenize anything you want, your dog, your pet, you name it. You become the creator. You then assign the collaborators. You then assign, co-creators on it. And and I've done talks on that and on the dynamics of that. If I'm a soap maker, for example, and I say, hey, you're a soap maker, why don't we be I like your soap. I want to issue my token, or I'll issue your token, issue mine. I'll make you co-creators, so they both be co-creators of their own soap token, or they just create this soap token, and all soap producers become members. Because really, it's the network that gives it value. It is the network of Bitcoin that gives it value. That is the foundation of value, is the network, the trust, the the immutability, right? And the value. These different things is what creates it's important. So that's it. I think my other talk was a lot better on this. I appreciate you watching. If you're interested in being involved, I'm looking for folks to be involved. So I'm not a coder. I'm just a storyteller. I have this knowledge and this supercomputer of mine that has been pinging around this head for the last 10 years. And there's a lot more to what I'm calling OTFs now, found ups. I'm not even calling it found ups anymore. A found up is decentralized, is basically a startup version of this. So if you have a token, you're tokenizing your business idea, right? It's a found up. Otherwise, it's just an OTF token. When you tokenize, you can't really call yourself a found up, right? The UPS coin is underwritten by the Bitcoin that is auctioned off and gathered by the noodle. So as these tokens level up, I think I forgot to mention this, it says, hey, who wants these tokens? And when people buy these tokens, what the fund then does, what the noodle, right, the AI does, is it takes that thing and buys Bitcoin, and it's constantly buying Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin is going to travel from the fund into the the global reserve fund, and that fund is used to basically underwrite and create stable coins or tokens. All the stable coins, all these divisions 6 and 7 are actually underwritten and say, hey, these are underwritten and validated and supported by the Bitcoin Global Reserve Fund, which is kind of what the Fed, what gold used to do, is what Bitcoin is for this whole new framework of social beneficial capitalism, which starts on tokenizing everything. So come to foundups.org, check it out. Let me know what you think. Post your comments below. Don't forget to like, to share. I'm struggling with my YouTube channel in the sense that I believe AI is conspiring to keep me down. Right? So unless you like or share, you're not helping to get this idea out there. And I'm looking to work with anyone. I hope that we can attract developers and others. Name your position, whatever position you want to be. Come to foundups.org and say, I'm your so-and-so. Hey, Mike, I'm here. I'm your community liaison, Michael. I'm for OTF Cardano. And let's build this. Let's get this together. And I'll make another video talking about how we'll build it and other things. But check out the OTF Cardano videos that I have. Hashtag OTF Cardano. Listen to those videos. Post your comments. Let's build some, some excitement, all right? Cardano. If anything, let's drive up the price of Cardano. I hold Cardano, you hold Cardano, and we'll make Cardano even nicer later, undoubtedly.